There is a quote by Sri Ramana Maharishi, and he says, "The greatest error of a man is to think that he is weak by nature, evil by nature. Every man is divine and strong in his real nature. What are weak and evil are his habits, his desires, and thoughts, but not himself." We have this very misconstrued notion that somehow we are imperfect, that we are weak, unworthy, disintegrated, broken humans. And we think this brokenness is a curse, and that we need fixing, we need a lot of knowledge to build ourselves, to build a version which will be perfect. But you see, that is just an imagination. That version never exists in reality. Even after the greatest spiritual insights, the person continues more or less in the same manner. It's just that he or she is not identified with the personality anymore. But the personality does continue because personality is required. So the association with the thoughts and the thinking becomes weak. But that essence already is unbrokenness and is never weak. It's not evil, it's not undesirable, it does not need fixing. It does not even need love, I would say. It is pure love. If that is understood, then whatever happens is not a problem anymore. But we believe ourselves to be the limited mind-body organism, and we strive for perfection. We try to appear like sages, and we think that sages don't have flaws, that sages don't have imperfections. And my concept is that sages have all the imperfections that a normal human beings have. It's just that the sage is aware of their patterns, and they never associate their worth, their measure of who they are, by those patterns. They have the capacity to observe and reflect. They have the direct vision of what is. And that detachment, that natural detachment, not an intellectual understanding or not an intellectually forced detachment, but the detachment of the heart, which is not indifference, is there in the sage. Whereas, quote unquote, the ordinary human being strives to become better, to become whole, in the hope that he or she will be admired, will be validated by the society. And this is a trap where many spiritual seekers fall. They try to go for some sort of spiritual attainment thinking that if they modify their thoughts, if they modify their behaviors, if they show that they are totally integrated human beings, then they will have more acceptance and more respect from the society. So they wear malas, they wear robes. And we all have, gone through this. I have personally also gone through that phase as a seeker, where I thought that maybe dressing up a certain way will bring me more attention, but the me remains. This me seeking attention remains. This me wants to create an image which is perfect in the eyes of the others. So you see, I fall into the same trap as I was in materialism. Now it is spiritualism, but the undercurrent of it is still materialism. I still want attention. I'm still taking comfort of thought, which is divisive, which does not have any strength to protect myself, to feel safe, to feel accepted, to feel whole. There is no wholeness in thought, because thought is incomplete. It is born out of the divisive mind, and hence it is divisive by nature. And Ramana Maharishi here says, the real nature, your real nature is divine and strong. Your real nature does not discriminate. Your real nature does not make choices. Your real nature is simply awareness. And it witnesses everything, even thoughts, desires. So, arising of the desire does not make you weak. Following the desire and totally losing the essence of your being makes you weak. And desire could be a desire for wholeness, for enlightenment, for some sort of spiritual attainment, which is no different from any other material attainment. So it is the same trap. It is the same ego. It is the same separation as in the material world. But when I am the beingness, I see everything, every desire, every wish. I see habits, I see patterns, but I am no more concerned. I do not think of myself as someone unworthy, as someone undesirable, as someone limited because of the content. I am both the content and the consciousness in which the content is arising. I am made up of the same substance, which is pure knowing, which is unaffected. If that is known, no thought, no desire can ever be a problem. In fact, the arising of desire can be enjoyed. The arising of thoughts, feelings, sensations, emotions, everything can be enjoyed. Every urge can be enjoyed. Even the sexual urge can be enjoyed without suppressing anything. But when I say that I am weak and I am undeserving of the spiritual truth because I'm having sexual thoughts or material thoughts or thoughts of acquiring something, that is when I have already limited myself. It is It is those thoughts that are weak, not you. You are the consciousness. You go beyond strength and weakness. You illuminate everything. You are neither the frontal lobes nor the amygdala. You are awareness that witnesses both. And for most people, the realization does not happen by strengthening the frontal lobes, but it actually happens through the powerful stimulations in the amygdala. Because if you try to meditate and calm yourself and train the mind to strengthen the frontal lobes, which is fine, which I highly recommend, but the amygdala or the animalistic part of our brain, the primitive part of our brain, is way more stronger. And that is a part of human conditioning. But you are not human conditioning. That is just an aspect that is appearing in consciousness. And sometimes it is through that pathway, by the stimulation of the amygdala, that one gets to realize true peace. Sometimes it is through suffering that we get deeper insights, not by strengthening the frontal lobes. Although, as a practice, I do recommend and I think it is beneficial. But you see, nothing is going to make you into a totally integrated human being. Your imperfections will remain, and there will always be some gap between your words and your actions. No human being can be 100% integrated. If you are trying to achieve that through spiritual practices, through psychology, through philosophy, or any other means of self-improvement, please know that the nature of the self is a flux, is a change. Therefore, there cannot be 100% integration. And that is why, even in non-duality or Advaita, the masters say that yes, I'm saying one thing, and I'm also saying the other thing, and which sometimes can be very contradictory. And many Advaita masters have contradicted themselves. For example, I think even Ramana Maharishi said that self-realization is just a concept. There is actually no self to be realized. But still, the realization happens. And it is when the realization happens, then it is discovered what the self actually is. And there's another mystic, I don't remember the name right now, who says that, nothing of true value can be found without seeking. Or it was the other way around, I think. It was what you really want cannot be found without seeking, but without seeking, nobody has found anything. I think it was Bayazid, something like that. So it is a contradiction that a seeker goes on the path of seeking, but the seeking itself is obstructing self-realization. It is when the seeking drops that it is realized that there is no self, or there is only the eternal self that was playing the game of separation, and nothing was ever seeking anything. So that nothingness is, and or everythingness cannot be destroyed, cannot be attained. That is of infinite worth. There can be no levels given to it. There can be no hierarchy given to it. So it is not that the person has to become integrated and be well adjusted in the society in order to be spiritually whole. It may happen that you never achieve those things despite your best efforts. But you remain in your wholeness despite what is happening externally, despite what people say about you or think about you. It does not bother you. You do not try to appear integrated. You just witness. You simply are the observer of the contradiction. And in that observation, that contradiction dissolves. So Ramana Maharishi says that the curve of a sage is like a high wave. The curve of an ordinary man is like a high wave. So that, the crests are higher and the troughs are lower. In the case of a sage, it is the same, but the amplitude is much less. In an ordinary person, it goes like this. So the highs are very high and the lows are very low. In the sage, it goes like more or less a stable wave. But there is no true integration even in the sage. So how do you know if you are on the right path? The only answer is peace. How you feel in the presence of another. It leads you to your own peace, to your own beingness. And that's how you know. Because thoughts stop, conceptualizations stop when you are at peace.